I hope everybody of you should be aware what is big IP, what is F5 networks, right? If no, F5 networks is a vendor, bit like your Cisco, bit like your Polo, or take any name. Big IP is one of the module in which we have a couple of the products like LTM, GTM, ASM, APM, ARM, and you can take much and much names, right? So out of that, today we are talking about GTM. So GTM was the former name. The new name is DNS. Similarly, LTM is named as ADC, Application Delivery Controller. ASM is now the new name is Advanced WAF. Okay. This name is DNS. So today we will be going to talk about the module named as DNS. Okay. If I will ask for the very generic term, what is DNS? Can anybody let me know, please?
Sorry, can you repeat the question? Sorry.
What is DNS?
DNS, yeah. So that's a namespace, a domain namespace. So we maintain our FQDN to IP records over there, so that the translation can happen for the system.
Yeah, right. So if we need to talk about it, we in the very simple language we can say it is bit like phone book. So in your phones you have the contacts, right? In the contact, what you do? You register it with some name. Let us say if I need to talk with you, Robin, I will not type your phone number and I will give you a call. I will search for the Robin. Instead, my phone book have name associated with the phone number. And through what I can give a call. Similarly, humans are more like we can learn about the names rather than the IP address or the phone numbers. So bit like it is the phone book of internet, we can say. So humans access the information online through the domain names. Bit like you are aware facebook.com, right? Or fb.com, whatever. But you are not aware like what is the IP address. Hopefully, if some of you are working with the Facebook, probably you have some of the IPs handy, but maximum of we will not be aware about these kind of IP addresses. Same case with multiple of websites, google.com, yahoo.com, linkedin.com, or maybe any banking sector, or maybe any sector, you take any name. So we are aware about only the names, but not the IP address. In the background, when the packet gets formed, the packet will be have the source IP, the packet will be have the destination IP. These two fields are also there, right? There are a lot of payload. In the payload, there are a lot of things, but I am just considering about only these two stuff. So in the source IP, it would be my proxied IP address, right? But what's about the DNS, the destination IP? It cannot have your fully qualified domain name, yeah? It cannot have your FQDN. It has to be some IP address over there. And who resolves this IP address for us? It is DNS. Okay. DNS translates domain name to the IP address so that your browser can load the internet resources, or maybe the internet resources, any resources we can say. I hope everybody has such kind of information that you are aware about it. Now we are aware that over the internet, any server, if you are going to the Amazon, you are going to the Facebook, you are going to probably any of the site, every other server has a unique IP address, right? So there are damn so much IP addresses, and as a human, we have our own limitation. We cannot memorize such kind of IP addressing in a more, detailed way. let us say for IPv4, maybe you learn some, okay, you memorize some. What about IPv6? There are migrations which are going on, okay. IPs are now changing from the IPv4 to IPv6. So it's really impossible to memorize all of the things in one go. So DNS is required, and it is uttermost very important for all of us. Okay. But if we talk about the DNS resolution process, can somebody tell me, like, whatever you like behind the scene, what happens, maybe anything what you're aware of? Can somebody let me know, please?
So whenever you try to open any URL or try to access some website, will put your address onto the web browser. When you hit the enter, the request will go to the DNS. So basically that's a broadcast, right, to a DNS and to the local DNS. And if the local DNS has the record, then it will give the IP back to the system. Otherwise, it will do the iterative queries to the root domain and the further subdomains. That's the process for a resolution for that FQDN to the IP address.
That's true. So maybe what Robin said, let me add a couple of more points on that. Okay. What happened oftenly, DNS lookup information will be cached. Okay. And it can be cached to your local DNS or LDNS, we say. If it is cached, probably maybe in your browser, maybe in your OS or wherever, if it is cached, all of the steps, whatever he was mentioning, will be skipped off, and the information will be given back to you directly. Okay. What if it is not cached? In that case, maybe I can say there are 8 steps. Okay. There are 8 generally we are used to say it as 8 steps. What is required to have the properly domain name resolution? What happened is, let us say there is a client. This client need to go somewhere. Take any of the example, let us say www.example.com. Where this client will go? This client will go to the LDNS. Okay, I would not be going to the iterative query or the recursive query for now. I will be going to talk about that in a moment, but let's come to it. It is coming to the LDNS. And as I told you, if there is some cache, it will give you the IP address then and there. And no further, these queries will go. Nothing is required. Let's take an example where you don't have the cache enabled, okay, or you do not have that entry available. What will happen now? I don't know if multiple, all of you, sorry. Somebody asked something? Okay. So I don't know if you guys are aware or no, but there is one dot in the last. Okay. So this is something hidden, and probably we need not to put it explicitly always in our URL also. But this is very important to your LDNs. What happened is your query will be get resolved by this. Maybe you can say right to left here. So it will be get resolved by right to the left. What happened is your DNS will check that, okay, there is a dot in the last. So it will send that query to some of the, okay, I will not take the name server. Let us say some server which is named as root server. Okay, with this dot, it is going where? To your root server. And I can say that 99.9% your root server does not give any reply. it's sent to some other thing that is in this side we have .com. It can be .net. It can be .edu. It can be anything. Yeah, it will be gonna send to .com, and that is named as top level. Okay, so this is top level domain, TLD. So your query is going where now? To the TLD. So first query is going to your local DNS server. Okay, local DNS server will check either it is cached or no. If it is not cached, it will send the query further, and the query will go to your root server. If root server will check that, okay, where it need to be sent now. So like .com, .net, such information, it has the storage into it. Okay, and it will say that, okay, you go to the TLD. In this case, it is .com. It will send, or it will point out to where? To the .com TLD. Now the TLD will check that, okay, it's a .com. That's fine. Where I need to send? I need to send to the example.com. Okay. It will send to some another server, okay, that is maintaining example.com domain. So maybe you can say it is a domain name server or domain server, probably you can take. Now, once your query is coming to the domain name server, if it is, authority to it, or maybe it is authorized to, give the answer, it will send the IP. That IP will go over here, that IP will go over here, and ultimately that IP will be gonna pass out to the client, and client will have proper IP address that, okay, 1.1.1 is the IP address for the record what you are looking for, www.example.com. Is this part clear, guys? Any doubt to anybody?
Clear.
Yep, clear.
Sure. So this is your 8-step process. Once you have the IP address available, okay, your browser will send request to the server directly. Okay, source IP will be the client IP, destination IP would be the server IP. And the server will return the page and render the page in the browser, however it happens. Okay, so this is how your DNS lookup will happen. And for the same, if I will talk about, I discuss about 4 parts here, 4 parts. Okay, what are those? First is LDNS. LDNS is local DNS, which also named as DNS recursor. And if you see it very minutely, DNS recursor is bit like your librarian with whom we are asking for a book, which is somewhere residing in the library, okay, or maybe over the internet this time. So client is asking for some of the record over the internet, which can be metaphor to like we are going in the library and we are looking for some book. So we are asking from the librarian, and LDNS is acting as a librarian. Okay. So here, first point what I am discussing about LDNS, DNS recursor. Okay, let me write down over here, DNS recursor. Second thing is your root name server. So librarian will go where? It will just point out to maybe a rack of books that, okay, go into that rack and you can check there. Okay, maybe root. So we are going to the root server, root name server. Then the third server was, okay, if I'm just talking about the 4 types of DNS server here, whatever I talked about. Fourth was TLD, top level domain server. Okay, maybe we can decide it as a rack like here. So this is the rack. Okay, maybe that is indexing or it is checking something else. So it is Bit like that, okay, that is a specific rack where this book can be residing. Go to the top level domain. And in the last, whatever shelf is, that is your authoritative, sorry. Or maybe you can say name server. So these 4 name servers I talked about during the 8th process of DNS lookup. Okay. Now let's talk about the query, what Robin you were mentioning. So can you tell me, Robin, what kind of queries would be there?
Not sure like about the queries, DNS queries, but
Okay, it's
Like
okay.
MX record.
Yeah. Sorry, somebody was saying something.
Yeah, Amit is an MX record query.
Okay, what more?
A record, MX record, and
You are talking about resource records. Okay, maybe we will come to that later. First, I am talking about maybe the very generic queries, like whatever the process I was explaining. Let us come to the queries of that process. So there can be in a wide maybe overview, if I will talk about, there can be 3 queries. Okay, one is recursive. Recursive DNS query. What happened in recursive DNS query? It takes place between your client and the very first server, the DNS recursor, what I talked about. Yeah, LDNS also we used to say. So it happened between your client and LDNS. And what recursive DNS query says that either I will give you the complete FQDN resolution. Maybe I can say I will give you the IP address, or I will give you the error. That okay, I am not able to find it. That is your recursive query, which works where? In between client and LDNS. Then second is iterative DNS query. Any guess what would be the iterative DNS query?
I think it's between the LDNS and further servers like your root and top domain, TLD servers and further subdomain servers.
That's true. That's true. We are iterating, right? So see how easy it is. If you will understand the concept, probably you will answer me by your own. So iterative DNS queries are those queries which place between your recursive lookup or maybe between your LDNS to the known name servers or the authority server or the root server or maybe the TLD servers, any of the servers. So iterative queries do not demand for the name resolution only. Instead, they can respond with the pointer also, or maybe we can say the reference also. Bit like that, okay, I am going to the top level domain, then from top level, maybe I'm going to the authoritative or maybe the subdomain or howsoever. So it's not always answers, give the answer for the your resolution, but it can also give you the reference also. Here, either it will give the answer or it will give the error. Here, either it will give the answer or it will give the reference. Now the third type. Okay, these 2 types you talked about correctly. Third type, non-recursive DNS query. Can anybody let me know what is that? Any guess? Maybe? Okay. So non-recursive queries are those for which the recursive resolver already knows where to get the answer. like the answer can be cached. Okay. Or on the recursive server, they need not to go to the, let us say, root or maybe the TLD or maybe somewhere else. Your recursive is aware about the authoritative server also. Those queries are named as non-recursive query, and non-recursive queries always give you the answer. Any doubt in this?
So is it a cache on the system
It
or
can be cached on the system. It can be cached on the browser. It can be cached on the operating system. Probably any. If it's not cached, maybe the LDNS is aware about that. Okay, for such of the domain, this is the authoritative server. Do not go anywhere. Do not do the iterative query. Okay, just go there and give me the answer.
that will be a recursive then? If it is leaving the system and going to LDNS, then it's going to be recursive, right?
So in that case, what happened is, okay, maybe, yeah, you are right. So in that case, what I'm talking about is the, like, if it is going to the authoritative server. Okay.
Yep.
You are right. You are right. That would be the recursive. So it would be it's going to the authoritative server, directly to the specific authoritative server, rather than asking from the root or maybe the TLD or maybe some other server. Okay, sure. So probably we have talked about. Now, can somebody let me know in our first scenario, okay, which kind of query was there when client was going to the LDNS and LDNS sending it to the root?
Iterative.
It was iterative. Right? So the example what we gone through was iterative DNS query. That's good. Now, let me give you the small example what Amit was talking about, because Amit took those names. So there are some common DNS records, Amit. Okay. Whatever you were saying the name, right? Like you were saying about A record. Okay. There is NS record. There is text record. Or maybe N number. AAA query, sorry, query. Okay. So there are couple of records which are available in the DNS. So CNAME also can be a very famous CNAME record. So these records are something which will talk about like your address hold the IP address, or maybe your address holding some other information too. Okay, that we will be going to talk about in a more detail when we are covering up of this course. But currently today I am talking about some of the maybe high level stuff, like how DNS work, what is DNS, what is F5, why we required F5 DNS. Okay, so those things we need to talk about. So for the same, I am just touching up only the very high by overview. Okay,
Fine.
yeah. Now there is very important field named as DNS security. Can anybody let me know why the DNS security is required? Any 1, 2 point, whatever you would like to tell.
DNS spoofing.
Sorry, DNS?
Spoofing.
Okay, spoofing. Yeah. What is DNS spoofing?
Like someone is requesting for a site and wrong address, wrong
Right.
IP address.
Okay. What else?
It's kind of a man-in-middle attack, like to redirect the DNS queries to some other illegitimate server, and yeah, so that they can see what's going on with those transactions. And I think maybe the other could be do, I would say, like DNS. Yeah, I'm just running out of the words. But I would, yeah, yeah, that's all. Sorry.
Okay, it's on. So let me talk about DNS does have some of the vulnerabilities. Okay, it can be more or less, it depends. Like you people are talking about DNS, cache, poisoning. Okay. Please excuse the spelling mistake if there are. So let us say there is one DNS cache poisoning. Okay, what happened in the cache? In the case of your DNS cache poisoning, data is distributed to the caching resolver. Whatever you are saying, right? So there is a attacker or there is some person who is giving the false information. Okay, and by this way they are saying that, okay, I have this information available, you just take it from me. It can be the false information, it can affect your TTL value, it can affect your lot of things. So actual application request can be redirected to the malicious host also, or malicious traffic also. Very dangerous, right? So an individual with the malicious intent can create a dangerous website with misleading of maybe it can be misleading with your title only. Let us say you are going to the NetMinion. Okay, I am just giving you an example. And somebody is giving you the information and just created this website. And you even didn't look into the title that, okay, either it is 1 or I, or maybe if I, you can say L. It is L or it is 1. Okay, it is bit like the same. So by replacing a character also in the domain name will be bit like your similar looking character. So such as replacing by your 1 and L or maybe I with L. So user can be fooled in selecting a path, false link, bit like your phishing attacks, you can say. So man in middle attack, cache poisoning, spoofing, phishing, these all type of attacks can happen on your DNS, whatever you were talking about earlier, right? So when I will come to the F5 DNS, F5 DNS is resolving such kind of attacks, okay, that we will be going to talk about into our classes also. But before going to that, maybe I would like to ask from you two terms, very important terms, actually. One of them is SLB. Can anybody let me know about the SLB?
Maybe
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
it could be a standard load balancer.
Right. It is your server load balancing. But I am not, I'm least bothered about the abbreviation. Okay. I just wanted to know the meaning. What is the meaning of SLB?
Basically, it redistribute like HTTPS request among multiple active servers.
Yeah, right. Only with one star. You just talked about HTTPS. Okay, it can be FTP, HTTP, SSH, whatever. Telnet. Okay, it can be not limited to the HTTP. Now let's come to your LTM dates. Okay, what your LTM do? Any request that is coming to the LTM, well, maybe the monitoring, the load balancing, all those kind of stuff will be checked, but eventually or ultimately, it will distribute the traffic, the high traffic which is coming among the all servers. Yes or no?
Yep.
So server load balancing means what? that it is intercepting the traffic and it is sending that traffic to the backend servers in the uniform way. But when it is doing, is it going with multiple locations or the same location? Anybody?
Same location.
True. The second term, which you are already guessed, what I would ask is GSLB. What GSLB means is, if I will talk about the full form, let me just write down. It is global. That's it. Global server load balancing. So what happened now? In the GSLB, load balancing will get performed, but across the multiple geolocations. Is this point clear? Yes or no? So the server can be on
Yep.
the company premises, it can be in its own data center, or it can be in some another data center, maybe private cloud, maybe public cloud, maybe anywhere. That is GSLB, Global Server Load Balancing. What is this? This is the practice of distributing maybe internet traffic, you can say, okay, among a large number of connected servers, which is dispersed around the world. Why it is required? That is my question to you guys.
So that if we have a multiple instances of a application in separate data centers, and we need to distribute the loads so that both the instances on both the data centers serve the request as active instances for that purpose.
Active only?
Sorry?
Active only?
Yeah, active. Yeah.
It can be
Active.
I
Sorry.
think GSLB for to redact nearby.
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah, a lot of other things like with the help of a geolocation, it can serve the request to the nearest data center instance.
Good. And what is the benefit for that? To serve it from the nearest data center?
Less latency.
Round trip will be less. Yeah.
Yeah.
Better performance,
Business
good
is the
user
best
experience.
Yeah, right. So you people are understanding it very correctly. Today is the digital world, okay? And business is all depend upon the digital. Now, if your website latency is much, let us say if it is 4 seconds, it drops the user traffic till maybe more than, but at least 4 to 8%. Traffic can be fall down only because you have the latency of 4 seconds. 4 seconds is a lot more latency, and the people are really impatient. They do not wait for the application to get load, right? In those scenarios, what should be happen? If your application is only in, let us say, in the data center of India, and users are coming from the USA, they are just coming from one corner of the world to the another. Okay. What happened is, if user database is across the world, you need to have the application hosted around the world only. No? So let us say you have one data center in USA, one data center for the EMEA, okay, anywhere, one in Australia, one in maybe APAC, okay, APAC region anywhere, maybe in the Singapore, China, wherever you want. What you want is, if my user is coming from the New York, where he should be going ideally? USA only, but if he is coming from the Singapore, India, wherever, he should be, or he or she should be going to the APAC. Okay, maybe Sweden or maybe any of the country from the EMEA, he should be going to the EMEA, and likewise to the Australia. So for the same, either you can host these DNS service from external DNS providers. Okay, there are a lot of DNS providers. We will be going to talk about these things also later on, don't worry. But in case of F5, this GSLB solution is. Is this part clear to everybody? And the term, what you were talking about, that like we are distributing the load, not depending upon the, maybe we can say some non-dump or maybe non-smart techniques like round robin or maybe something else. But here the smart load balancing techniques are used, analyzing the data depending upon which is the best server to handle this request. This term is named as Anycast routing also. I hope you have heard about it. Anycast routing picks a server based on the quickest travel time in between your client and the server. Any doubt?
Yep, all good.
Sure. So here, when we are talking about F5, what happened is you have a client is coming to LDNS. LDNS may be coming to the root server, then probably root server to the TLD, from TLD to GSLB solution of your F5 DNS. F5 DNS will check there are two data centers on the basis of the location, maybe location 1 and location 2. Okay. There are again your F5 LTMs which are hosting the web servers, the backend website. There are also LTMs which are hosting the same your you can say application, right? So depending upon such of the solution, when your traffic will come, your F5 DNS will be acting as the authoritative server. Please excuse the spelling, please. Okay. Now F5 DNS will check, F5 DNS will monitor. Okay, like okay, my backend nodes are up or no, and who are the backend nodes, by the way? LTMs. Okay, in this case, LTMs are the backend nodes of the GTM or maybe F5 DNS, you can say. So when you are using F5 DNS, you can have couple of the features that are added. Okay. Let me take some of the name out of them. Maybe if you have heard about it, intelligent DNS resolution. Intelligent DNS resolution. Have anybody heard about it? Intelligent DNS resolution.
Yep.
What is that?
So basically, it has this capability. It can do monitoring for the services onto the application server, or you can say the instance of the application, whether it's alive or not.
So it can optimally check the reliability of the application, either it is up or not. Only if it is up, it can monitor, right? The backend nodes. Only if it is up, only then it will send the traffic. So one is optimally checking the reliability. Second, it is going with the fast performance. Yes. What next? Robin?
Sorry, yeah. So I was saying like, yeah, this is the one, and the performance as well as the load, maybe.
Right. And the geographical location. Very important. Okay. So checking either the services are up or no, checking on which geographic location it need to be sent or where it to be sent. So those kind of stuff will be taken care by your DNS. Second, it can accelerate DNS resolution. Have you heard about this term?
No.
Okay. So when you are not creating your wide IP, maybe these terms, probably you can just ignore these terms because currently you are not aware about, some of you are not aware about this. But later on, when we will create the listener, probably the wide IPs, listener as a pool, or maybe local DNS server, a lot of things would be there. So in some case, when you are not using your F5 as a, maybe what to say, the primary server. The primary server is something else. In that case, we can use it as a, again, authoritative server. Just we are putting it over here to protect our primary DNS server from the attacks, one thing. Giving the fast resolution, second thing, because it can cache the stuff, okay, if we have the profile available for the caching. Okay, we can use the DNS Express. We can use it as again an authoritative server, although it is a secondary. But yeah, we can create it as an authoritative server also. In that case, it's not doing the stuff. There can be zone file transfer also. There can be, ultimately it is eventually checking with the primary server and caching the information and a lot of stuff. And the third and very important point, which I already talked about, securing the DNS regulations. So F5 will secure your DNS regulation, like DNSSEC is your one of the feature, right? So by which you can secure or you can authorize the user or maybe the end-to-end communications. Any doubts so far?
Can you repeat the second one? What did you say? Accelerate DNS resolution with the help of DNS Express?
Sure. So what happened is, Robin, let us say you are having an organization. Okay. In your organization, there is a DNS server. You are using a bind server, maybe some Linux utility. Okay, you are using that. Now that is your primary server. What happened is that has a limited functionalities, you are aware, but you are putting now F5 GTM also, okay, migrating. In that case, the Linux server will be used as is, okay, prior to the activity of the GTM migration. Now your GTM will be acting as your secondary server. Linux would be as the primary server only, but the authoritative server will become the GTM. Okay, there are some settings which we need to tweak out. There are some sort of configurations we need to do that we will be going to talk about in our classes, right? So in that case, it is not doing the intelligent DNS regulation. In that case, the DNS regulation it is doing is the accelerated DNS regulation. Is this fine?
Yeah. One more question here. Like you said, like if we are migrating, that means GTM will replace that additional DNS. All the A records will be on GTM.
No.
Is it?
That will be as is, but the GTM will be acting as the authoritative server. Now the DNS server in the client's address will be get changed from LDNS to the GTM.
LDNS to the GTM. Okay, but anyhow, if we are deploying the GTM, we still need a DNS DNS, right? DNS server in our environment.
It depends how what kind of environment you have, what kind of use case you have. Depending upon that, yes.
Okay. All right.
Any doubt?
And how can we secure these queries, like the transaction between
Because
user and
everything is coming to the GTM, not to the primary DNS directory.
All right. Yeah. And
if it is coming to the GTM, you can leverage all the functionality of the GTM.
we can check the DNS packets. Is it?
Yeah, everything. I will show you in the lab. I will pick it. I will show you in the TCP dump. I will show you in the Wireshark. Okay, how it is behaving, from where to where it is going. I will show you that. That's not a very big deal. very small
Yeah.
query. Okay.
All right, cool.
Okay, great. So if there is no query so far, let me show you the further slides. Maybe I was sticking up on the one slide only. So big IP DNS we talked about. What are the key benefits using big IP DNS services? We already talked about. And yeah, practice without theory is blind, and theory without practice is really blind. So you need to do the lab, and I hope Robin, you are my old student. Deepak, you are also the registered student and old student also. So you guys are aware like how the lab work. But those who just joined today only, for you people, you will get this kind of lab which will be dedicated to you. You will be having the maybe you can say it's your own code. You need to do the configuration from the scratch. Here we can see we have 4 big IPs. Unit 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 2 data centers. Some of the Linux servers you can see here, which we will be getting used as the primary server. Remember what you asking, Robin, for the accelerated response? Yeah. So we will show you that over here. Eventually, it will act as the wide IP servers also. It will act as the LDNS also. There are some configuration what we need to do, but sooner or later probably we will be going to discuss upon that. Now, there is workstation from where we will manage everything, and it will act as an external user also. And end to end, we will check all of the functionality for DNS through this lab. Okay, where we will be having active scenario also, topology based also if you wanted to have, the performance based also if you wanted to have, whatever scenarios we need to test upon. Probably we will seek about all of the scenarios, and you can do it by your own 24/7 accessible, and you can whenever you want, maybe you can just open it. What you need to do, just start the selected button. Okay, you can go with any of the device, not only this. Okay, maybe it was open from along, and if you just click on open, the device will be here. This switch is up. So if there is any configuration, it will show to you, but currently there is no. Okay, there is some configuration probably in my previous class I did it. Okay, so that is how you can see. Okay. So this is the lab what you will get assigned. Secondly, every session is the recorded session, and you will get the recording of every session on the web portal. Okay, you can access through the web portal. You can access through the application, okay, mobile application. Either it is the Android or OS, iOS, okay, or Android, any. So we will be touching each and every part of our DNS, okay, with respect to the certification. You will, with respect to the maybe migrations, with respect to maybe the interview approach, we will be going to touch each and every part of it. Okay. Anything else you would like to ask from me? Timing would be same, 3 p.m. IST to 5 p.m. IST. 2 hours class per day, Saturday and Sunday. If you would like to see the syllabus, please go to the netminion.net. Okay. Here, just go to the courses, go to the various. Here it is. GTM. Okay. Just scroll down, click on this syllabus, and the syllabus will be available to you. Okay. So that is how end-to-end your batch will be gonna cover. Okay, tomorrow is our first class for the DNS. Okay, today was the introductory session, so we allowed everybody, but from tomorrow onwards, it is only for the one who is registered one. Okay. So if no doubt, guys, we are good to wrap it up. Okay.